I personally have not felt all this aggression myself, but I know just because you don't see or feel or hear it firsthand, that it shouldn't pain you in any way. When I see an 80-year-old woman being slapped or punched in the face, or an 85-year-old man being thrown to the ground, that just makes your blood boil. Now that I have your attention, you should know. I am a mother, I am a business owner, I like to feed people. I am not a quiet person. My name is June Chow, and I'm the owner of Hello Dumpling in East Dallas. I've spent a good portion of my life resisting those stereotypes of sort of the docile, take every punch and move along kind of person. But we've sort of come to a crossroads where you just can't do that anymore. My family immigrated to the United States from Taiwan when I was 4. We settled in Central Jersey, and we were one of a few Chinese Asian families. As a kid, and as with most kids, you don't want to be called out, especially for your race. And so when I was younger, it was to do as much to blend in as possible. A lot of Asians feel like, okay, we are the model minority, and I feel like there are so many insidious meanings, layered underneath that. We are a model because we don't speak up. I think a lot of Asians really feel like it's a badge of honor that, we are the people to look up to. I think there needs to be a realization that getting into Harvard, having a high salary, doesn't protect you from any form of racism, because before you open your mouth and before anybody knows you, they're looking at what you look like. Hello Dumpling is visible in my community, and throughout the pandemic, it's been so well supported, and I am so grateful. But I've had microaggressions. I've had people say to me like, oh, you don't have an accent. And when that's vocalized and I hear that, I'm a little bit taken aback. I don't know if I'm supposed to say thank you or not, but in this instance it was I expected you to have an accent because of this kind of food. I don't see it as an active aggression. I think it's a lack of understanding. I've had third-party delivery people tell me to go back to my country, because I had offended them with making a certain request. I'm not on the phone talking to someone. They're looking at me and their response is a reflection of what I look like. There is always a feeling of fear, because you can't predict that someone somewhere will feel something and will want to do something to retaliate. If they found offense at what I've said or use me as a scapegoat. Being an ally is putting your arms around the whole person. I think we're starting to feel like there could be some solidarity and some commonality amongst all the people who've suffered, and now we're awakened. Where are we going to go from here?